the issue isn't that Americans don't like nerds, Vivek. Maybe people just didn't like you. And what greater validation could there be of how our culture supports education than the announcement by Yahoo Sports just yesterday that singer-songwriter Shabuzi will be performing at the Scripps National Spelling Bee? Take that, jocks. Joining us now to discuss, Tim Miller is a former spokesperson for the RNC. He is writer-at-large for The Bulwark. And Wajha Ali is co-host of the podcast Democracy-ish and editor of The Left Hook on Substack. Wajha, I'll start with you. I just want to read an excerpt of your column sort of about this internal battle. One of the most pathetic creatures in the MAGA universe is the person of color who truly believes that all of their prostrations to Trump, shameless parroting of right-wing propaganda, indulgence in racist conspiracies, and delusional adherence to the model minority stereotypes will finally earn the love and admiration of the base, which is forged from grievance, rage, and adherence to white supremacy.
We have talked so much about how the MAGA movement and the Republican Party at large doesn't actually do anything. Their goal is to obstruct. Their goal is to impede progress. Their goal is to not pass legislation or improve people's lives. No, on the contrary. And it's why MAGA can't govern. And it's why when they have a majority, they either squander it, self-destruct, or really just humiliate themselves, or all of the above. And that is exactly what is happening right now. Now, before Donald Trump can even be sworn in as president, MAGA is tearing itself apart, because when you're an angry reactionary movement that can only obstruct when you get power, you just end up obstructing yourself. And so Donald Trump and Elon Musk essentially have launched their own mini civil war within the GOP, and it is hilarious to watch. And what Donald Trump just said, a post that was just made on his behalf, is making it even worse. And we are going to get into all of that and the ways that Elon Musk has really just screwed Donald Trump. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way and it really means the world to me. Now, before we get into the post that Donald Trump has shared, I want to hear a little bit more about the current state of the MAGA civil war from our friends at MSNBC in this clip right here.
War has broken out in MAGA land between anti-immigrant diehards on one side and unelected policy influencers like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy on the other. Musk and Ramaswamy want the U.S. to continue giving visas to skilled immigrants who have been a crucial part of the Silicon Valley workforce. The other far-right MAGA folks say that those jobs should go to Americans, not foreigners, and especially not brown foreigners. I always say on the air, I'm not interested in palace intrigue and MAGA food fights and personality tiffs on Twitter/X don't move me. But one argument really did jump out to me for its hypocrisy, and it came from Ramaswamy. In a long post, he says, quote, "The reason top tech companies often hire foreign-born and first-generation engineers over Native Americans comes down to culture. A culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World, or Zack and Slater over Screech and Saved by the Bell, or Stefan over Steve Urkel in Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. More movies like Whiplash, fewer reruns of Friends, more math tutoring, fewer sleepovers, more weekend science competitions, fewer Saturday morning cartoons, more books, less TV, more creating, less chilling, more extracurriculars, less hanging out at the mall." Let's ignore for a minute that this sounds like the rant of an angry incel on Rumble, who, despite his success today, is still mad about getting rejected for the prom by a cheerleader in high school. It's also completely wrong and somewhat racist and a very myopic view of American culture. Foreign-born first-generation engineers are popular with tech companies because they are cheaper than American employees and have fewer employment rights. That's not a culture issue. That's an economics issue. Next, as someone who's been both Steve Urkel and Stefan Urkel in his life, let me update Vivek on nerdy cultural icons that everyone actually likes, like Lisa Simpson, or Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, Hermione Granger from Harry Potter, the whole cast of 6 seasons of Silicon Valley. Pharrell Williams was dropping rap and hip-hop albums for 4 years as Nerd. Not to mention Tony Stark, Peter Parker, and Black Panther's brilliant sister and top scientist in Wakanda, Shuri. Maybe the issue isn't that Americans don't like nerds, Vivek. Maybe people just didn't like you. And what greater validation could there be of how our culture supports education than the announcement by Yahoo Sports just yesterday that singer-songwriter Shabuzi will be performing at the Scripps National Spelling Bee? Take that, jocks. Joining us now to discuss, Tim Miller is a former spokesperson for the RNC. He is writer-at-large for The Bulwark. And Wajah Ali is co-host of the podcast Democracy-ish and editor of The Left Hook on Substack. Wajah, I'll start with you. I just want to read an excerpt of your column sort of about this internal battle. One of the most pathetic creatures in the MAGA universe is the person of color who truly believes that all of their prostrations to Trump, shameless parroting of right-wing propaganda, indulgence in racist conspiracies, and delusional adherence to the model minority stereotypes will finally earn the love and admiration of the base, which is forged from grievance, rage, and adherence to white supremacy. Bars. Wajahat, give me your general take of what we've seen over the last couple of days.
Now, before we get further into that great discussion on MSNBC with, of course, good friend of the show, Tim Miller, I wanted to check out what Donald Trump just said regarding this visa civil war within MAGA. In this article right here, President-elect Donald Trump told the Post Saturday he supports immigration visas for highly skilled workers, appearing to side with Elon Musk in the royally intra-MAGA debate on the issue. I've always liked the visas. I've always been in favor of the visas. That's why we have them. Trump said by phone, referring to the H-1B program, which permits companies to hire foreign workers and specialty occupations. I have many H-1B visas on my properties. I've been a believer in H-1B. I have used it many times. It's a great program. Added Trump, who restricted access to foreign worker visas in his first administration, has been critical of the program in the past. We know that Donald Trump doesn't actually believe anything. He'll just go wherever his supporters or the last person in his ear tells him where to go or will go, where is ever most beneficial to his pocketbook, and trying to build out as much power as possible. And that power right now seems to be resting all with Elon Musk, who of course will rail against immigration of all forms until it starts affecting his companies and his pocketbook. Again, this is the message that we have to be delivering. The MAGA doesn't care about you. There's no real policy platform that they stand on to lower costs, or to lower cost of housing, build more units, expand people's abilities to access home ownership. Now, they don't care about any of these things. They just care about making Elon richer. And I've seen so many tweets from MAGA saying, what happened to the Donald Trump that we believed in, that we knew? And it's kind of this funny moment, of course, very sad for them to realize that Donald Trump doesn't care about them. And that's the message that we have to continue to deliver. And it's especially funny to see all these billionaire tech guys realize that Donald Trump was always lying to them. Something that we tried to communicate when Donald Trump was going back and forth on this visa program. And I don't know really at this point what he'll do. It could change any given day. Just because Donald Trump said anything doesn't mean it actually means anything. And so those around MAGA are going to continue to go to war with each other because they don't stand on principles. They stand on Donald Trump. Donald Trump doesn't have principles. We know this to be true. And with all that said, I want to get back into this segment from MSNBC.
It is. And just to be clear, I was involved in that tweet with the R word in the sense that I was making fun of it during a lengthy chain that people don't need to understand all the players in, because you got to be deep online MAGA lore to understand who's on what side of this fight. And it really was unfortunate, I think, that Corey from Boy Meets World caught strays in this whole disagreement. But look, it is funny that we've gotten to this place. To your question of whether it hurts them with voters, well, I mean, we just had an election, so it won't be for a while. But it does show that there was like an overthrow of the old Republican Guard, which I was once a part of many years ago now, almost a decade ago now. The Chamber of Commerce Republican Guard, the one that wanted compassionate conservatism, the one that wanted was pro-immigration. You go back and watch Reagan and Bush debates, and they're talking about how great immigration is. Reagan's final speech as president was about how important immigration is to the country. The Republican voters didn't want that, and they overthrew those leaders, the McCains and the Romneys, and the Kochs and the billionaire class, and they thought that they had found some new billionaires that were aligned with them in the culture war, because Elon Musk and all these other guys, these other tech bros, will go along with them on a lot of the culture war fights that don't affect them. They'll go after trans people, they'll go after the Hunter Biden laptop, they'll go after Fauci, those sorts of things, but on this immigration issue, this is something that affects their bottom line. It affects their companies. It affects them personally. Many of them are immigrants. And so now, all of a sudden, the voters are realizing, these MAGA voters, that they've just traded one set of rich guys that did not agree with their preferred policies when it comes to immigration for another set. And I think that is at the crux of this. And I do think that if Trump sticks with the Silicon Valley crowd, which it seems like he very well might, because he likes the attention, he likes the fact that they're famous. I do think it will create problems within the voting base, because this is their core issue. It is the immigration issue. You might call it nativism. The support for American workers over foreign workers. This is if MAGA is about anything, it's about that. And so I think that this is not just a Christmas week kerfuffle. This is going to be a long-term dispute within the coalition.
This will be the Trump presidency. And so while many Democrats right now are trying to figure out where we should stand and how we should message, I think what is important is to always be prepared with an alternative, letting MAGA destroy themselves. Having the Republicans eat their party alive is great, and we should be standing on the sidelines, not helping them, not saving them, with the exception of when people are in real danger, like when Democrats had to be the adults in the room and bail Republicans out of a government shutdown. Sure, we have to step in then, but when they want to tear themselves apart and on an issue like this, please go for it. Go ahead. I want to see the MAG of civil war, but we have to be ready with an alternative policy that we can very clearly communicate, not in some 100,000-page plan with all the numbers and the minutiae and the details. Obviously, that is important because it's what improves people's lives. Care about detail in policy is important, but what we need more than anything is to have policy platforms that easily communicate Donald Trump and Elon Musk are in it for themselves. They're at war with their own party. They can't govern, they're a mess. We have very clear solutions that are focused on you. They're not focused on the pocketbooks of the billionaires. We're not thinking about Bezos and Zuckerberg and Elon all the time. We're thinking about you. We actually do care about the cost of groceries. We actually do want to make it easier for people to build housing. We want the dream of home ownership to not be a dream, but to be something that Americans can actualize. And we have to be able to say that in very simple terms. As Republicans just kind of simply tear each other apart. That's what we have to be able to do. And that's the opportunity that we are going to have. And we're going to be talking about it every single day on this show if you want to support that. As always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you suck around at the end, as always, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, as always, once again, I'll see you soon.